Hello, welcome to another edition of Sports Wrap. We're so excited because the Bruins had a great game on Sunday. They were in a close game, a shootout, and they were the Stanley Cup finalists from last year, the Chicago Blackhawks, and the Bruins, and unfortunately, the Blackhawks won in overtime, 3-2, but it was a great game, and Brad Marchand's going crazy for them. He's scoring goals left and right. Did it again yesterday. It just was an exciting day.
And we have thousands of new visitors, every show. I mean, we should at least tell them who we are.
Oh, that's true. I'm Frank. Well, you're Frank Walsh.
No, I'm Michael. No, Michael.
Hey, Frank. How are you?
Michael Wigdor.
Frank Walsh.
Frank Walsh.
That's right.
Welcome to another edition of Sports Wrap. It's unbelievable what the Bruins have been doing.
I know.
They're playing really well. Marchand's coming out of his slump.
I know.
The Celtics are continuing to be the Celtics.
Rondo just came back.
It's
exciting to see him back in uniform.
He's not got a lot of minutes, and he's not back into his game. But at least the Celtics have a little bit of something to talk about and get excited about.
Yeah, rev up the fans. It's good news. All around.
There's a lot going on in sports with the Bruins and the Bruins and the Celtics, and we got spring training coming up, and like 24, 25 days.
Yeah, it's like 73 days or something.
Something like that for opening day. But the buses are getting packed up. They're going to be heading down to Florida pretty soon. But other than that, with those three things going on around Boston, there's a lot to talk about.
You're not kidding. I mean, especially
Hey guys.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah.
What?
I think something else happened this weekend. Wasn't there a couple of football games this Sunday? Something about going to the Super Bowl.
Oh.
Did the Patriots play this weekend?
Was that
the Patriots.
Was that in the paper or anything?
That was a game actually that was on TV that unfortunately I did watch.
Oh.
Did you watch that?
I happened to watch it, and thanks
a lot, Roxanne.
Thank you, Lady Director Roxanne.
I had like a depression hangover yesterday. I called it the Patriots hangover.
We were trying to avoid talking about that.
That's right. I mean, how much bad news can you have?
All of our show prep just went out the window.
Yeah, I know.
I'm Bruins. I mean, I went into the mothballs.
Me too.
And, went into the hat.
That. Yeah.
But Mikey, a week ago at this time, we were sitting here as excited as hell, and we had hoped that our next show was going to be a Patriots victory and a cakewalk to the Super Bowl.
I know, and we even told my brother that we were going to beat them, and I owe him a 6-pack of Coors.
I know, and a can of B&M beans. Fortunately, I think I have one in my cupboard, so
it could have been Sam Adams too.
We'll save $1.50 on the can of beans. But Mikey, what the heck happened?
It was, if you want to go back and do a post-mortem, it just came out that the fact was they just didn't have enough players. We just didn't have enough on offense to compete with them. I mean, that was the most obvious thing of all. And the defense, once Talib got knocked out, it was like my nephew said, Manning could have been sitting on a throne having tea and cakes and still making throws to all of his receivers.
Yeah.
And wasn't touched. It was unscathed. It was just a horrible, a worst nightmare to watch. It wasn't like it was a competitive game. It was a very disappointing game. I mean, the Patriots scored in the fourth quarter, but by that time the game was really over. And
right from the get-go. I mean, I didn't feel good about it right from the beginning. Once the game started, I just didn't feel that energy. I didn't feel that excitement. The first two series, they were 3 and out.
No.
They had nothing going. Even though the Broncos didn't look that great early on, but at least they were able to move the ball a little bit. They got a couple of first downs.
Yeah.
And I think you're right. I think they were just beat by a better team.
They were, but it was disappointing the way they started out. Like you said, I mean, it wasn't, the passion wasn't there. They just, the first 3 and out was horrible. I mean, a real short pass for like 4 yards, and then maybe Blount even gained a yard.
Yeah.
And they just couldn't do anything. And then they got the ball back, same thing. Another punt, and then Manning starts to come down the field, and they get a field goal at least out of that. And you just said, they're moving and we're not. And it was just a very bad sign, especially when they couldn't do anything with their running game. They had 8 men in the box to try to prevent the run, and Brady had no one to throw to, and that's what this game showed more than anything.
Yeah.
He doesn't have the receivers outside of Edelman. I mean, if Austin Collie has to be your best guy coming in after not even being on the team for 2 weeks,
Right.
and he catches more passes than Danny Amendola, who's on your team for the whole year, something's wrong. I mean, the Patriots have got to go out and get a good wide receiver. They
Yeah.
can't. They got to spend some money, for God's sakes. Go
Right.
out and be a spender. Get the team players
Yeah.
you need to become, to win the Super Bowl. They're just coming up short. It's just not.
Yep.
It's almost not fair to not only the team but to the fans, because we didn't expect this. I didn't, and the expectation gets so high, and then you expect them to even have a chance against Denver, and it just shows they had no chance.
Well, that is true. However, we can't forget the fact that, we lost Hernandez. We lost Gronk.
I know.
We lost, half of our line. And, we got to where we did with, Band-Aid, bubble gum, and duct tape.
Gronk hasn't played in one playoff game since he's been on the team.
Yeah.
Not one, which
Yeah.
is, I think they're going to have to revamp their offense. They have to. I mean, the other big key too was, I guess, when Talib got knocked out.
Yeah.
Right.
What do you think on that play? The play we're talking about, Wes Welker comes off. Peyton's going to throw a little slant play across the middle. Welker comes in, takes out Talib. And what do you think? Clean hit, dirty hit?
I try to watch it from different standpoints. Watch the film a couple of times, or the video on TV and on the net, and it doesn't look like. It looks like he was trying to block him, but it didn't look like he was trying to be dirty and take him out. I listened to the head of the refs, Mike Pereira, and on the radio, and they don't believe it was a dirty hit. They
Right.
think it was a pick hit, and that he leaned his shoulder into his chest. He was no intention to knock him out. Brady's saying that. I don't know if it's sour grapes, but it sounds more and more like sour grapes the more people interpret it. What do you think?
When I saw it, I immediately thought it was a clean hit. And, because I remember I'm watching the game with Laura, and she goes, "Oh my God." And I says, "Well, hey, he's going to be hurt." I says, "But you know what? Clean play."
Yeah.
It was a clean play.
Yeah, because
tough play, difficult, painful, but clean.
And the announcers didn't say anything about it.
Nobody
right?
said anything about it. I mean, the refs, no penalty on it.
Right, that's right.
And I think even listening to Welker said that he had Talib in his sights,
Right.
and he was lining him up, and
Right.
he thought that he was going to go low,
Right.
and Talib saw him and was going to go high. That
Right.
they were going to just
Go
go
by-
over each
go
other,
past each other.
just go
Yeah.
past each other or
Yeah.
over each other, and
Yeah.
Talib would try to avoid him.
Yeah.
But apparently Talib did not see him coming the
Yeah.
way that Welker thought he did, and bang, he got taken out. And
I heard
that
yeah.
essentially ended the game right there, for at least from a
Right.
defensive standpoint.
I agree. And the other thing too they said is that it wasn't offensive pass interference, because when the play was made by Welker, the ball was already coming into the receiver.
Right.
So it was a bang play, as they say, but there was no penalty, no offensive interference. And I agree with it. When Talib was out, it was like bring in Logan Ryan, and these guys were like and Brady, and to give Manning credit, he was on fire. He was throwing perfect BBs.
It's a flawless game.
Flawless game, and even though you could say that the secondary, the corners were trying to cover them, and they weren't far, but his passes were perfect.
Right. I think he only made one bad pass. I mean, Brady made two bad passes that could have resulted in touchdowns.
Three,
I think,
probably.
At least two that I remember.
At least two, right.
And Manning missed one. There was
Right,
a
he
very
missed
similar
one.
play. Manning
Right.
had a man open and missed him.
Right.
But I from the entire game, I mean, even in the first quarter, 4 or 5 minutes into the game, Jeff Pickett, our program director, and I were texting back and forth, and right off the bat, Manning has too much time.
Oh yeah.
Defense looks shaky.
Yeah.
and Manning is on his game.
We couldn't get to him, and I don't understand why they didn't call. I mean, as good as Manning is at recognizing defenses and everything, why didn't they at least try blitzing once in a while?
Because I think that history has shown that Manning, like Brady,
Yeah.
picks apart the blitz.
I've never.
They
Yeah.
have those short dump out plays, and he's got Welker, and you look at their
He does.
entire receiving core.
Oh,
You know, they have a tremendous receiving core.
They've got the best offense in history, and it'll be determined when they play Seattle if it really is the best. I mean, it may be the best warm weather offense, but let's see how he does in cold weather, because we know he's not a cold weather player. But you know what I was hoping for in that game was that maybe we make the 2-point conversion. Of course, we would have had to get the onside kick when it was 26-16 or whatever it was. But I was hoping that we get it close enough in the fourth quarter where Manning is forced to make the pass.
Right.
And it was almost like that. At some point, it was getting there, but he made a gorgeous throw, like right over the head, I think, of Denard, right into Decker's hands.
Yep.
And it was as if he was saying, there's nothing that's going to stop me today. You know?
Yeah. And you look at some of those plays, you look at the difference between the two teams on when they were in the red zone. I mean, you could clearly see that it was advantage Denver in the red zone. And the touchdown pass that with either the first or the second one that they threw, I mean, you and I could have caught that ball. I mean, it was a great play, great call. Manning fades back, you know, a couple of zigzags. Next thing you know, their receiver is just standing there, right there, nobody near him.
Yeah, and not only that, he's a guy that caught touchdowns but doesn't do much else. He's
Nothing
like a tight end,
else,
Jacob Tammy, whatever his name is, I don't know, but
wide open.
Wide open, wide open.
And I think we had talked about it between ourselves is that, and I think Richard might have mentioned this on the phone last week, was that, you know, the coach, was it Fox? Was it Fox? Wasn't afraid of them. And, you know, he knows that Brady is a powerful offensive weapon, and he basically said, you know what? We're going to give you that opportunity to beat us. We know that you've been running the ball. You've had 3 successful games in a row with Blount, and you know, their backfield has been going crazy. And all of a sudden they said, you know what? We're going to take that away from you. And you know, Tom?
I know.
Beat us.
I know. Isn't that something? It's like they flipped their defense on the one that we were going to use on them to us, and they were saying, let's see if Brady can beat us. And it was perfect because we don't have the receivers to beat them. We just don't have it. I mean, Demaryius Thomas, like once Talib was out, he just owned us. I mean, he ran for like well over 100 yards in that game. You're right. So yeah, it was a great defensive plan. And the funny thing is, I heard later on that they knew that, you know, that they might try to stop the run, but they had no answer for it. They had no answer for it whatsoever. I mean, they threw to Vereen, and Amendola was gone in that game. I don't know where he was, but he made, you know, never caught a ball. One was thrown to him. You know, don't you think that they need to do something to get receivers?
They need to. You know, they obviously have Gronk, and, you know, but how many games is he going to play? And when will he be coming back? They definitely need a long threat. You know, they need another Randy Moss. They need somebody who can take the team outside the numbers. You know, they're an inside the numbers team.
They are.
And look at, even during this game, Brady tried to throw a long bomb in this game here. And
he overthrew him.
Way overthrew him.
Way overthrew him.
And he needs more targets.
He does, but he also
we need to get our pass rushers back. We need a defensive line that's going to be able to put pressure on the quarterbacks, because a good quarterback beats us. Most of the time.
Well,
unless Brady and the offense has, you know, 48-42, you know, where both teams going crazy. But in a game like this, the stronger defense wins. I mean, the old cliche applies for a reason. They had the defense, and they took our offense away.
It was surprising. That was the other thing to me that was very surprising, was that their defensive line dominated our offensive line. We had controlled it against everybody.
Even Mankins. I mean, when did you see Mankins get beat
Mankins was
the way he did?
Overwhelmed by that
Knightley.
Knighton,
he was huge.
He was huge. He barely fit to the uniform, but they were overwhelmed by that. I mean, both sides. It was surprising to see that they were beaten like that. You know, I agree.
And Brady was definitely not in his comfort zone. You know, you know, and it's hard to be inside of Brady's head. But I would like to think that if I was in that kind of a situation and I knew that my defensive line and my team was really not on all cylinders today, I would be a little apprehensive. I would be apprehensive if I'm going back, you know, to drop back, you know, overcoming the fact that, you know, my receiving core is weak, my defensive line is not playing up, or the Denver defensive line is playing out of their tree. It mentally takes you out of the game, and I think that, you know, I think that Brady was just taken out of the game. he didn't have a great game.
No.
He missed some opportunities, but I think a lot of that was caused by Denver's defense.
Yeah, all the pressure was on him, that's for sure.
Yeah.
That's for sure. But I was thinking is, what you were saying that, I forget now.
I don't know. But again, if we go back and if we looked and if we said a week or so, 2 weeks ago, that we were going to hold Denver to 26 points, we'd be thinking victory.
Yeah, I know, but that's the thing, though. The Patriots only started to come back when they went to a soft zone defense on them, which, it's almost like it encourages you, but it's almost like it's such false encouragement because
Good point.
it's just too much to make up.
Right.
It's just too much to make up,
Right.
It's just, where were you for the first 3 quarters? Oh, that's what I was going to say is, I don't know why they didn't make any adjustments. They didn't make any screen passes at all in that game.
No.
It was like if he was going to hand off, it was blatant that it was going to be like a handoff. It wasn't like any fakes.
Yeah, not a lot of play action.
No,
they could have play action with Ridley.
Right.
And maybe they thought that their defense was so strong and that they were able to read them. And I don't remember too many audibles by Brady.
No.
Manning was a little bit more calm. I think he only said Omaha a couple of dozen times.
And you know what else about Manning? Manning was in the shotgun the entire game. He was never under center. Never. And that's made it so much harder for them to get to him.
Yeah.
Ninkovich never touched him. His uniform was as clean as when it started. That was the most disappointing thing of all, I would say.
I have to ask this question, throw a little levity into the serious conversation. Why do they call the quarterback under center when he is clearly over center?
He's over center, but the snap is under.
I don't know.
I
just wanted to throw that in there. Those of you at home has the answer. Send us an email.
Because he's behind the guy, he's on top of him, but his hands are below. Without getting into it, I don't know.
But anyway, I just needed to break up before we get too depressed.
I know. We can't really. But one thing I was thinking, and one thing they said on the radio today, and people are saying, well, because some people don't want to re-sign Talib, for instance, because now they say he's going to be a free agent. And some people think there may not be a market for him, but damn, there's going to be a big market for him.
They have to sign Talib.
Or they could franchise him, which they said might be like $11 million this year, but they got to get him. He's one of the premier cornerbacks. Who are they going to get otherwise? Go out and get someone else that they're going to have to pay?
Even, he played injured quite a bit this year, and he was still an effective defensive back.
When he was in there, he made the defense completely different. And that's what I heard Zolak say that. And he covers the games. He watches these games.
Yeah.
But the other thing they said is, that I wanted to say is, I heard, you hear this all the time, and it's true from year to year. It's like, as long as the Patriots are in that Eastern Division, they're almost saying you could put almost anybody on that team except as long as you have Brady and Belichick, and they're going to win the division. They're going to rise to the top. That may be true, but I think at some point that's not going to be true.
It's been 10 years.
You're taking chances now.
10 years since we've been into the Super Bowl, and we've had some really darn good teams along the way.
Yes, and we've lost the AFC game.
The last two. Last two.
Yeah.
And and I think too that
with better teams.
And I think the fact that the Patriots were on the road in Denver was a huge disadvantage. And that's
what we said last week.
If they had only won that game in Miami, they would have been playing at home. It was still a nice day. Weather-wise, it was still a nice day here, but it was colder. And plus, we're at home, and we have
the signals. We would definitely be able to get.
And we have the 13th man instead of them. And that place was rocking. That was a sea of orange.
It was. That's like my brother said. You're right.
It was a sea of orange, and they came ready to play. So your brother was right on the money last week.
He was, and even was Ryan, because if you had Will Fork, maybe you stop the middle. Maybe they can't. Maybe then he could stop them, and they can rush him and get him off his spot. If you have Mayo. You have, if you hope to have Gronk, but at least if you have some of your defensive standouts there, maybe we do make it to winning the seat. But
we need to talk a little bit about the second game and talk a little bit about the Super Bowl preview. But do you think now that all is said and done, the Patriots are cleaning out their lockers, that it was a successful season? Would you consider this a successful season? And are you, obviously sad that they lost, but do you feel good that they got to where they did and how they did it and all of that? Let's go down in your history book.
I think it's, I mean, I might say that next week, but the thing is, they built up your expectations so high. And it's not really their fault, but they played a fabulous game against the Colts last week. They ran like crazy. They ran like crazy the previous week. It was shocking to see that. I mean, other teams make adjustments. I haven't gone back and looked at every film, but I was surprised that the Patriots could not run at all against Denver, and they gave up so soon. But maybe they didn't have a choice, but it was only 10-0. I don't know. I don't understand the game plan in a way.
Yeah. Successful season or not?
Successful season or not? I would say, in retrospect, it's a successful season, but they built our expectations up too high so that it's so hard to not get to the Super Bowl. I don't think they were a Super Bowl team. I think I probably should have had more realistic expectations. Maybe it's me. But I don't know. I sincerely believed they were going to beat Denver. Did you? I mean, it's hard not to believe it.
I did too, and I think that you pulled a thought out of my head that I was thinking that hopefully would have come out of my mouth, was that right now it's a little too raw. You're disappointed and you can't really look at it objectively.
Yeah.
But I think too, over the last several weeks, they did build up our expectations. They did, give us hope.
Realistically, maybe.
But I think, if you really sit back, and maybe time will bear this out, I think that all of us, at least somewhere along the line, said, how long is this going to last? How long can this horseshoe bring them good luck before they run out of luck?
Well, I think as long as Brady and Belichick are there, as we've been saying all along, I mean, they have a chance every year to win the division.
Right, but this year, I mean, considering the losses, considering what they had to go through, the adversity,
right.
Almost as Richard said and we had said, almost Red Sox-like.
Right.
People were stepping out of the woodwork, making big plays,
Yeah.
doing things that
Yeah.
needed to win. Is that, underneath it all, it was like, wow, were our expectations somewhat false, or not false, but unrealistic?
Well, I think they were. I think they were because they were a bunch of overachievers. But like Jamie Collins came out of the woodwork in the previous week.
He did.
But they were like, I would say you're never going to see another team quite like that. I would say yes. Okay, let's say just put it right out there. Yes, the season was successful because no other team with no other coach with that group of talent could have gotten this far. I don't believe it. That's why I would say Brady, even if he doesn't win the Super Bowl, he's I don't care where Manning and Brady end up in Super Bowls. They're still going to be either in the top 3 of all time greatest.
Right, and that's not a bad place to be.
No, it's not.
And I think what clarified it for me, or crystallized it for me, was about the false expectations maybe, or unrealistic expectations, was that when I watched the San Francisco-Seattle game.
Oh my God.
And I watched that game.
That was a game.
And we had said last week that was the premier game of the two. But
we were hoping it wasn't going to be.
Correct. No, no, as far as the premier game to watch, of the two games, that game was that's why it got the national game. I mean, the prime spot. For me, it was like, you know what? Even if the Patriots had won the Denver game and they were going to the Super Bowl,
I'd be scared.
Compared to what I saw with San Francisco and Seattle, I don't think the Patriots would have been able to beat them.
No,
I really don't think the Patriots could beat either one of them.
No.
And I think that's what kind of made my expectations somewhat, unrealistic, because those are the teams. When you look at San Francisco, you look at Seattle, the Patriots have been, when they have gotten to the Super Bowl and they've won even to the playoffs, this year excluded, they was that kind of a team. The Patriots had a defense. They had an offense. They could, they were a well-rounded, put-together team. This year they're not, and I think that became crystal clear to me when I saw those two teams. They had the passing, they had the quarterbacks, they had the running game, they had the defense, they had the offensive weapons. They were complete teams.
Yes, they had no flaws. You don't see too many flaws in either team.
Virtually none in those games, other than
the
mistakes.
The
quarterback, the mistakes.
It's only because they're young.
Exactly.
But like Kaepernick made a key mistake there. But he almost, I even heard Dan Shaughnessy say he thought it was a great throw, and if Richard Sherman doesn't, make time it just right, that's a touchdown. They win.
Right.
So, it was a great play by Sherman, and it still was a great throw by Kaepernick. But
if you took Brady and you took Manning,
put them on
either one of those teams, they'd be undefeated.
Oh, absolutely.
They'd walk through, and
Oh,
I don't think it'd be, especially San Francisco.
Yeah.
If Brady was on San Francisco, they'd
Yeah.
be 16-0.
Yeah.
Probably now 18-0 going to the Super Bowl.
I don't know about that. I mean, their Seattle defense is really, really, really good. They don't have the best quarterback in the world. I mean, the kid is still learning. A little different type of quarterback.
But look at the difference between him and Kaepernick. Kaepernick is what we had said before. I said when we were picking our Super Bowl, I says I would rather see them play San Francisco than Seattle because of Kaepernick, because Kaepernick still has that first, second year jitters where he will make mistakes.
Yeah,
he will make mistakes, and look what he did.
I know. And Wilson,
he made terrible throws.
I know, and Wilson made some really bad decisions too in that game. They both did. But I would say they would be at least 7-point underdogs, if not more, if they were playing.
It's been,
but
it's
anyway,
been a reality.
Who do you think is going to win that game? Now, Denver, before we're running Denver.
I tell you,
right now I saw that field goal game.
I would look at, we're losing our little cover here. Yeah. I would look at, Seattle. It's going to be a hell of a battle.
Yeah.
I think that, Peyton, if he plays the same kind of a game that he played the other day, which was almost a flawless game, I think Denver has the offensive edge.
Yeah.
But San Francisco.
No, it's Seattle.
Yeah, Seattle has a tremendous defense.
Right.
And I think that, I would have to give the edge, I think, to Denver. I think, at least right now, I would say that Denver has the edge because they have a more potent offense than Seattle. And just like this, you could hold Peyton maybe to 18, 21 points, but does Phillip Rivers have that in him to get 24 or 28? So I think it would be easier for Denver to score than it will be for Seattle. And I think some of the rookie mistakes with Rivers, and not rookie, but some of the inexperience.
It's actually Wilson.
Wilson.
All right, let me give you my thing on that. It's
too much caffeine.
I think if they can get to Manning and knock him off his spot, I think Seattle has a very good chance to win. If they can't throw the ball, and their receivers are covered, like Sherman Blankets, Demaryius Thomas, and they can't run it, I think it's going to be a very tough game for Denver to win, and I could see Seattle winning, and I could see Marshawn Lynch running through that defense.
Yep. We have 2 weeks to
I would
really
like to see
firm it down.
I would like to see Denver win, though, because I want the AFC. Even if it's Manning, I really don't hate Manning.
No, I don't hate Manning either.
I think Manning is great, and I think he deserves to get it. If he can win it, good for him.
Yeah.
That's the way I look at it.
Plus anything that would shut up Sherman.
That's right.
Yeah,
so
we didn't have time to talk about his rant, but
we're down to 10.
I know.
All right, so count down. So,
but here we are, Mikey. A little bit less energetic than our normal shows, and for obvious reasons.
Right. We got it out of our system, so if you want to vent along with us.
So until the next time, Michael Wigdor,
Frank Walsh.
We will see you down the road.